What's going on, everyone? It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. New tool day. Not really. These aren't new, and Wednesday has nothing to do with it. But anyway, picked up these 3 Stihl weed whackers today. Known to be not working, so I didn't scrutinize them too much. They all pulled over, so that's a promising start, but I wanted to start doing get these inside, start doing some diagnostics. We've got this big boy here with the Y handle. Came with the strap as well. It's sitting somewhere on the side, but this has some cool, like, shark teeth looking cutters here. Never seen that before, so nice to see at least that's there. This model, I'm not sure. This is straight shaft. These 2 bent shaft ones are almost identical. At least FS45 and 46. I don't know what the differences are yet, but string heads are all there for these other ones. These stickers being in pretty good shape means they were probably pretty well cared for, not tossed in the back of a truck 10,000 times. So that's a promising start. A couple missing parts here and there. This one is already missing a primer bulb in the top to the air box. So other than that, they seem to be pretty complete. No sun, no like chalkiness from being out in the sun. I think I'm gonna start with this one. This seems to be the most complete and in good shape. So we'll start here, get this up on the bench. All right, first inspection was to get this cover off and check the air filter, and there was no air filter. So I grabbed one from one of the other units that'll fill in. I can always cut a new foam one. Primer bulb was losing its plasticity, but that doesn't really, or sorry, it's losing its elasticity, but it might crack. We'll keep an eye on that though. Not a big deal for now. Usually the first thing I do is try to either use some starting fluid straight into the carb, see if it fires, or squirt some fuel mix right into the spark plug hole. So I think I'll opt for that option. I got the spark plug out first, which looks very, very, very new. Doesn't even look used at all, but it is a little bit wet, unfortunately. And I can see a few drops of water on the cylinder there. So might fire, might not. Just gonna keep giving it a quick inspection. And now that I've got the plug out, I'll probably squirt the gas right in. Interestingly, a Bosch plug. I kind of doubt that's what this came with originally, but Stihl is a German company, Bosch is a German company, maybe, maybe not. So the other thing is, I mean, maybe somebody worked on this, but it still has the limiter caps on. If you're really digging into this, you probably would take those off. So odds are nothing too invasive going on here, but we'll try to start it, dig a little. All right, progress has been made. You can usually judge the complication of what I'm doing by the amount of coffee cans or other tins I'm using. Screws in here, exhaust I pulled off. Took the recoil off. It was a little bit, it wasn't retracting very strongly. The handle was sticking out a little bit, but I oiled the spindle here and it seems to be fine. It's always a concern of rust that spring steel will rust like crazy and just kind of crumble. So this seems to be in good shape and not terribly dirty inside. I put the exhaust as well. I kind of broke out the big guns for this one. Gave it a try on starting fluid and gas through the cylinder and no dice. So what I'll do is I'll break out the drill with a socket on it, in this case a 1/2 inch fit perfectly, and to spin the motor and try to get it started. And it did pop a few times on the starting fluid and gas. I squirted some gas in through the exhaust port. So that gives us a few things. We've got spark, we've got air, we've got timing, we've got compression, or at least enough compression for that to start working a little bit. It's also a good time to inspect the cylinder from the exhaust side, which looks quite good. Yeah, there are rings. Yeah, this looks very clean in there. So I think it was a little hard to start just because of that moisture in there. So I'm kind of debating on what to do next. I think, I kind of want to throw some fuel in here and just see if it runs. But I think I'll give it a bath first. If you watch James Condon in his generator repair, he always says, all right, this one has earned its oil change. I always say this one has earned its bath. And it's not terribly dirty, but just cleaning things up makes any further diagnostics a lot easier, makes working on it easier, and I can make sure there's no junk in the fuel tank and kind of inspect other things. So I usually try to add fuel after I've done all that cleaning. That way I don't have this upside down and running underwater and all that with fuel in the tank. So usually I just take a wet brush and kind of brush things off, maybe get the air compressor in there and blow out the carb a little bit. So probably, I might just pull the tank and carb while I'm at it. I think I'll just replace this primer bulb. I can check the diaphragms and things too, and we'll get on our way after cleaning. All right, bath is done, cleaned up. pretty nicely. I'll give it a once over after everything's put back together. Just clean enough to kind of help work on it a little bit. Head cleaned up very nicely too. So I took the chance to wash the carb pretty thoroughly. Now what I do, and the fuel tank actually cleaned up nicely too. Some scuffs here, just kind of look at that. But these hoses are still very pliable, so that's a good sign that everything's in good shape. Nothing suspicious in here. Usually when I'm washing, of course I have this disassembled now, but when I'm washing the carb, usually I'll just I'll pinch the both sides of the air duct, or the venturi, if you will, and kind of scrub it. I'll spray it with gunk or use some dish soap or something to clean it off. And I'll only do that if I know I'm going to disassemble it like this to kind of inspect the insides. As soon as I clean it, I'll blow it out with the air compressor. But figured I'd break this open for an inspection. Metering diaphragm is nice and soft. I feel it actuating the needle just fine, or at least it seems to be. I'm not going to peel this away unless I need to, because I don't know if I have any replacements off the top of my head, but you could risk damaging it. So that seems fine for now. The pumping diaphragm here and these, what are these? Valves? These check valves? There's a name for these and I can't remember. But anyway, this looks like an acetate diaphragm. This seems fine. The only thing that was suspicious was the perch bulb, so I've got a new one here. I should be able to just replace that. So everything looks good in here. I think I'm just gonna put this back together, get fuel in here, and give it a try. All right, update time. Put the whole thing together, put gas in it, and got it started pretty quickly with the drill and celebrated. Put the pull starter back on, brought it outside, got it going, ran for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 minutes. I started monkeying with the mixture needles, and then it died, and I couldn't get it started again. So brought it back in here. I've been trying for a bit with the drill, different combinations of choke, a little bit of starting fluid. Still can't get it going. So started to dig a little bit deeper and broke out the compression tester. And it's reading a bit low of what we need, just shy of 75 PSI. Anything under 100 is definitely suspicious. So I'm gonna keep poking at this. I'm not 100% convinced it's really that low or that it's not working, but hopefully I can get it going again. Maybe when it's hot, it'll read a little bit better. Jury's out. Yeah, maybe I'm just having false hope here, but I'm gonna keep investigating. I want to skip a few abracadabra engines apart. Where did I leave off? I think I was checking the compression. It seemed a little bit low. I was able to get it started again with the drill after some kind of a combination of popping the choke, throttle, starter fluid. Kind of got it going. Ran at full throttle for about 30 seconds, let it go back to idle, and it died. And I couldn't get it going again, so figured, all right, just time to take things apart. It was, I don't know, 10 screws to get the motor out and apart, so just went for it. One convenient thing was that the carb and gas tank kind of come apart together. Now that I've got fuel in here, I try to keep everything sort of together there. But so this is the top of the crankcase. This is the bottom. That sandwich, gonna go together like that. I was hoping for a smoking gun. Well, I don't know if I was hoping for a scored piston, or cylinder. Cylinder looks really good. Super smooth. I'll probably give it a quick hone while I have it out. Just clean it up a little bit. Piston looks good as well. Really pristine. I mean, the rings are good. A little bit of fouling, but yeah, that'll clean up. Really nothing rough, nothing weird. There we go, compressor. Yeah, so no smoking guns. Now that I'm in here and kind of broke this apart, I have to reseal the bottom end here where this silicone is. So I got to clean that off, clean these seals, and get that sandwiched back together. I could, jury's out. Could it still be a bottom end? Could it have been this all along with the bottom end leaking? Yeah, sure. That would cause it to not run right. Would it cause it to not start like it was? I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, jury's out on that. I'm really not sure about that one. So I'm just gonna get this cleaned and resealed, and it'll have to sit for a while. I mean, you can kind of use it's like a silicone similar substance that you use to seal this, and there's not really a recommended cure time. I usually try to let it go for at least a couple hours. I'll probably let it sit overnight. So I'll ponder, I'll think about it. Maybe I did dig into the carb a little bit more too, kind of checked it out. Everything was squeaky clean. no issues. So I monkeyed with the needles quite a bit too, and just could not get it to start reliably or idle really reliably. It was just kind of conking out. So yeah, time for a reseal, and we'll see where that goes. Quick update, got the motor back together, resealed. This is the product I use from Moto Seal. Good stuff. Use it for all the bottom end resealing like this. And this gasket here was fine on the, what is this? Where the cylinder meets the crankcase. God, I can't think. Okay, gonna get this reassembled and we're gonna give it another shot. All right, update time. No luck. Still can't get it to run right. It did another, kind of ran for 30 seconds at full throttle, sounded good, and then died at idle. Still not sure what the issue is here, so I'll explore that further. Pretty much what I did was I put this up on the rack back in the stable and grabbed the next one on my roster here, the FS45, which did the same thing. It ran with starting fluid right into the, or gas right into the cylinder. So pulled the carb, started checking that out. Diaphragm was ripped, so I put a rebuild kit in it. And it didn't seem to be drawing up, it wasn't drawing up fuel with the purge bulb. So I had a brain blast and I grabbed the carb off of this one that I was having trouble with and put it on here, and it ran, and it seems to be running just fine. So that is a good troubleshooting step for that one. That means the carb is probably fine. And when I revved this one up, I promptly blasted my wall with mud because I hadn't washed this one yet. So I'm gonna probably clean, this one's definitely earned its bath. I think I'll pull the parts off of that one that I need to get this one up and running, so I can kind of finish that up, assuming I don't uncover any more issues. It only ran for about 30 seconds, so I'll still give it a once over, clean it up, make sure everything's ship shape. So yeah, jury's still out over here. It's probably still that low compression, unfortunately, despite the cylinder looking quite good. Maybe I go in and hone it some more. I'm not too sure. So I think I'll mothball this one for now, use it for parts for this other one so I can get that finished up. But anyway, hopefully it's sort of 1.5 weed whackers down, 2 more to go on this batch. So hopefully you enjoyed this, maybe you learned a thing or two, and I'll be back with the new ones, next ones for some repairs. So see you next time.